Yo, 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 everybody. Welcome to episode 79 of Unfiltered. I'm ChanManV, and of course joined by Destiny, my co-host. What's up, Steven?
What's up, buddy?
I like your new Twitter handler, dude. It's new. It fits into this new overlay like much better than like the other one did. So
thanks,
I appreciate
exactly
appreciate you changing it, dude. It's cool, man. Damn. And I want to welcome to our guest. Obviously, Richard's not here, as you guys can tell. He's en route to Columbus, but he might come and drop by a little bit later. But instead, we've got two great guests here to help fill the hole that Richard, I guess, brings when he's gone. We've got SirScoots, who hasn't been on the show in a long time. So welcome, Scott. What's up, man?
Hello. Hey, nice to be back. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome. And the first timer, got Mr. Jacob Wolf here. For those of you who don't know Jacob, he's a writer for Daily Dot. I'm sure you've seen some of his articles if you follow esports at all. Welcome, Jacob.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys. So lots of great stuff going on in esports and just generally in gaming and the dank world that we cover in Unfiltered. But why don't we start off by talking about well, actually, before we do that, I just want to let you guys know we're going to be doing Q&A at the end of the show. So go ahead and those of you that hate logging into Facebook because they hate doing that on my ChanManV.tv site, go ahead and tweet it to UnfilteredGG, and we'll start taking questions at the end. We're not going to do call-ins tonight. Screener's not here, so we'll have to do that next week. But let's start off by talking about Steven being banned from Twitter. It's been an ongoing saga the last week and a half, 2 weeks. So Steven, let's get the backstory on this. Did you get banned for that one bomb?
Yeah, I think so.
Tweet, like literally, that's the only thing that. Did they even give you a reason? Yeah. Actually.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was for that tweet because they auto deleted it too.
Oh, they did? I thought I could.
Do they tell you anything when they do it, or just all of a sudden, like, boom, it's gone?
Well, initially my account had like a 12-hour timer on it, and then when the 12-hour thing wore out, my account was still suspended. So I sent them an email. They're like, "Oh, well, we permanently suspended that account."
Whoa. Ouch.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Did they
know, like, hey, buddy, we're watching
your
shit.
No, just it was like an automated response, and then I sent another email and I never got another response. So it's pretty good. 37,000 followers, just no big deal. It's whatever.
Wow, I'm sure you'll get those back.
Did they give you explained reasoning or anything, or did
no? It was all just automated messages. It didn't matter. No.
Wow, that's total bullshit, dude. Wow.
Yeah, pretty painful.
Well, I guess we can't say the word bomb.
It's got to go down to like the terroristic bomb threat concept, right? Because obviously, Twitter is full of like people insulting each other and telling each other to fuck their mothers.
That's true.
But what's the flag?
Right? Exactly. Like, why is it bomb?
To get banned.
I'm not sure. I just it was another stream that I had where I had to stop because my ISP was fucking me. So I started making all these tweets. It's like I'm gonna fucking bomb the Cox node so that they have to finally fix their shit. Like that was like the tweet or something, and I guess that was
all right. Bomb is obviously an automatic trigger in Twitter's.
I'm sure somebody has to screenshot it.
That's like
chat.
It was probably Cox that
cucks you. You probably had a bunch of people like report you, right? Probably. I'm gonna guess.
Or it was just maybe the Cox account that did. I'm not sure. Maybe
it probably is just the Cox thing. I mean, I'd be surprised.
As shitty as internet is, I wouldn't be surprised if I did it. Not that I'm going to, but.
All right, so you got a new one, right? Is it cool?
No, I can't. What? I live in the United States.
No, I mean you've got a new.
ISP is not...
No, you got a new Twitter account now.
Yeah, I got a new Twitter thing.
So guys, be sure to follow Steven tonight. If the Omni Destiny. All right, more so than any other night. Follow us on Twitter, yeah, for sure. Okay, well, I guess it just take time. I mean, of course you're gonna get all those followers back, but
well, probably not actually, because a lot of those I got when StarCraft 2 was at its height are people that are never gonna be like looking at that kind of stuff anymore. So,
right.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you think they would have unfollowed you anyways? Oh, you mean they just don't use Twitter anymore? Because
they wouldn't. They would just never see my
Oh, I see. Yeah. They just wouldn't even realize.
They wouldn't know to make a move. Yeah.
They wouldn't even realize your account's gone. Okay, gotcha. Well,
it just feels like you're on the shit list, man. You were on the shit list and you just got complete smited by Twitter. Like that's sucks.
I hear you. So we got a Reddit person that's been sniped. We got actually two of us that have been cucked, and now we got somebody on Twitter, man. Now we just need somebody to get.
You guys are hitting all the networks.
Twitch. Now we just need somebody to get banned on Twitch. Then You gotta pull on a fourth person.
I got fucked by the airline travel service. Does that count as like another base to cover?
Oh yeah. Did you ever get refund for that shit or no?
No, I never got that money back.
Oh my god, Scott! If you didn't know, or do you guys know about this? Like
it's not really that.
I don't think so.
It's just autism. It's just.
Is it your fault, Steve? Is it your fault or is it their fault?
No, of course not. No, it's not my fault at all.
Okay.
What the fuck?
He basically had to pay $2,000 for a return flight because he missed his flight or whatever.
That almost happened to me like 2 weeks ago when I went home for Christmas, right? So I went back to Atlanta, and obviously like I live here in Austin, and so I was trying to get back, and like the flight attendant closed the door on me, like the boarding door, and it's like, all right, well, you know, and then like I call, right? They had like the call centers in the airport, and I call into Delta, and they're like, oh, your ticket's not worth anything anymore. I was just like, okay, well, so I was pissed off and like went up to one of the desks, and finally they put me on standby. Had to wait like 12 hours to get home, but fuck airlines, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck Atlanta Airport. Like, Jesus.
God. Okay. Well, all right.
Let's tomorrow, man. Don't jinx me.
Yeah, exactly. Right. He's going to Columbus tomorrow. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about Activision Blizzard. All right, buying. Oh man, it says ads on here. It should be a lot longer here. Here we go. Assets. There we go. All right. So Activision Blizzard buys MLG assets. This was just broken. The news of it was broken like about 2 weeks ago now, right? Or almost 2 weeks ago. And Activision Blizzard purchases MLG assets for $46 million. And originally it was broken as the news was broken as this, just the assets being bought. And then I feel like there was a period where it sounded like they bought MLG altogether, and there was just like this weird thing. But if you actually look at an article that Ferguson Mitchell came out with today, I think it lined up. I think it explained everything very clearly and thoroughly. It did a really good job with that. So it turns out that Activision Blizzard did indeed buy all the assets. There's still an entity that of what used to be, just Major League of Gaming, and what we knew was Major League of Gaming. It's now called like MLG Holdings. I know, Scott, what's the
I think
actual
it's called
company?
MLG Legacy Holdings.
Yeah, MLG Legacy Holdings. So it's not Major League Gaming. It's MLG Legacy Holdings. Everything else, the brand, literally all the assets, even employees, they are basically bought by Blizzard. They're like with Activision Blizzard now. So you're probably thinking, okay, so they're just basically paying off debts, or at least just cashing in or whatever, and paying back investors and things like that. And that's probably what's going to happen. But we do have a guest here that happens to be one of these stockholders. And for those of you that don't know or haven't been in esports for a very long time, SirScoots here was the owner and actually founder and owner, right? Founder, just
not
owner.
Founder, just
yeah.
I had owner shares.
Owner
I
shares.
would say
okay. Owner.
There were definitely guys ahead of me that started the company, as well as
okay.
were way bigger than me at GotFrag. So yeah, I was maybe fifth in line, sixth guy in line, so to speak.
Yeah, still good.
But not a founder. I joined once they got rocking and rolling.
Okay. Yeah. But GotFrag was this esports site that later became GotFrag TV. Anyways, MLG bought it at one point, and I think the deal and the terms were kind of half pay up front, just I guess pay cash half front, and half pay in stock, like MLG stock. So that's how you became a stockholder, right, in MLG?
Yeah, it was you basically lined up the deal pretty good. Basically, it was a two-sided deal. So in the initial purchase, we got a combination of cash and shares, and then X amount of months later, a year and a half I think it was, we were to get the other half of that, both in cash and shares.
Oh, okay.
Some guys took like Jason Bass, for example, was leaving GotFrag, didn't want to stick around, didn't want to go work for MLG. He also had some ownership shares, so he took all his in cash up front and got out of because he wasn't gonna vest into any more shares, wasn't gonna work for MLG, wasn't gonna transition like we all did. So he in retrospect fucking nailed it.
Yeah, exactly.
Thankfully, I was a minor shareholder, so like I'm bummed that I'm not getting a little extra money here at the end, and I'm not getting any buyout from MLG. There are guys that have way more worthless paper than me, So yeah, so that was the deal. So we all got a bunch of both, right? So then, um, about about a year ago, I started hearing grumblings that someone was looking to buy them, right? And they actually um, changed over their stock system from an offline kind of paper, like you get like shares physically, you can have them.
Yeah.
But they kind of there's a bunch of online companies that will manage your portfolios for you for companies. So they transitioned to that, and part of that was to get us all organized, I think, to then make it easier to kind of sell their shares. Activision Blizzard isn't the first people that knocked on their door, so to speak. I think it's the deal that went through. Because I think you're going to talk about later about, well, if MLG got bought, then why does ESL have Call of Duty?
Right, exactly.
I don't think they relate. I think one happened before the other happened.
Yeah, that's what I was
in time frame enough that they couldn't wait, so to speak.
Yeah.
So but for us, that second piece of paper, the MLG side, is always be if MLG sold, right?
Yep.
Like that's how you get paid. But there's always conditions to that, right? And I am well aware of MLG. I'm well aware of esports. So even when I took their paper, I was like, well, who the fuck's gonna? First, I went, why the fuck are they buying us? I got frag. I'm like, okay, we'll take your money. So I never thought it was a sure bet in my mind that, in a couple years, MLG's going to sell for X amount of dollars and I'm going to get even more money. Like, to me, it was like, whatever, if they sell. It actually was the exact same thing for me, Chris, when I got shares from Alex and EG. Like, I'm like, all right, I'll take them, put them back in my pocket. But, like, who's going to buy a company? Whatever. Like, sometimes when you join a startup, like a real world startup, like that is part of the deal. You get vested, you get shares, and you could generally think that eventually those are going to be worth something. I never thought that with this paper. So, like, I bummed, but it was never.
It was bonus anyways in your mind, I guess.
One of the things that bums me out the most that unfortunately they didn't cover in that last article. Like that last article was all about Gottfried getting fucked.
Yeah,
right?
For the most part, yeah.
Technically, everyone who had back-end deals, as of right now, is sitting on an empty paper, and we're in the carve-out plan. Now, guys like Midway, guys like Lee Chen, guys like Jason Kuhn, the big ones, those guys are sitting on way more paper than me. Like, that's like buy house paper and shit like that. Mine is not. So, but what he didn't talk about, which really bums me out, is all the early employees, not a Mike Sepso, not a Sundance D. Giovanni, but all the core staff that helped build them, and some are still there, are also sitting on B share paper worth nothing. So, like, I didn't join MLG and get paid shit and sweat equity my ass for 10 years to get nothing out of it, right? Some of these guys potentially did. Now, all they're telling us right now is we're part of the carve-out plan, right? Which means nothing right now. They have to find more money to buy that paper. Is that going to happen? Probably not.
Yeah.
So I'm bummed for me. I'm warm bummed for the Gottfried people that had way more paper than me, but I'm really bummed for the actual MLG employees that were the ones that built the company that ended up being worth something, right? And now they're not getting their paper bought, right?
Yeah.
That sucks. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely the worst. The people are going to be taking the worst of it, and people are probably wondering why. How does that work? Because I thought when companies came and bought companies, the people that actually own equity, no matter if it was preferred or B shares or whatever, it was always generally a good thing.
It all depends on how they buy it. Like,
exactly. This is a different
or a full, wholly buy it all, and they, in their mind, they did it a smart way, right? They carved off what they didn't want to spend, right? Like why give me my money? I do no more good for them, right? So if they can figure out a way of the purchase to take care of A shareholders and tell B shareholders maybe, then and it's probably. I can't imagine it's a vindictive, evil thing. It's probably a standard thing when you're buying a company. You go, what do we want to buy? Why do we really want to buy it?
Of course, you're not going to overspend for no reason.
And I do remember when I was talking to Alex about the GGA sale last year or a year and a half ago, and he was talking to me about different things that could happen. One of the things he mentioned to me is like, hey, this could end up being an asset type sale. And if it's that versus a business sale, then we lose more, right? And that didn't happen for GGA.
Yeah, thankfully.
It did happen for MLG in that sense, right? So yeah, I mean,
what does MLG have in the way of assets?
They've got a studio facility in Columbus, Ohio. They've got tons of production gear and assets around that. to run tournaments.
And it's worth however many millions of dollars they paid.
46.
Probably not. And what I don't know, Steven, they add on top of like that. Okay, this is worth this much money, but is there that gray area of if you buy the physical assets, is there an intangible number to go along with managing those assets or what they might?
Oh, of course. The people are worth more a lot of times. Like whenever you buy.
Like, I mean, I know a lot of guys have transferred over and are going to work for them. Like Adam Apicella, one of their main guys, is going to work for Activision Blizzard. But yeah, I think what Ferguson did do a good job with is kind of explaining who's getting the money. And if you look at who gave the money, it almost adds up perfectly to who's getting paid back, right? Share-wise.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Now, is it weird that the venture capital company was also run by Sepso? I don't know.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Part run, or he has some of them anyway. I don't know. So that's the deal on the Gottfried thing, at least. But again, I haven't had and I even said in my tweets. I had heard grumblings that they're going to do a lot of Counter-Strike next year. And I was like, how? And this was like before the sale. I'm like, how are you going to do that?
Yeah, I think everybody knew they were going to start doing that.
We got new money coming. We're going to get bought probably. And you know, at the time he was telling me it wasn't Activision Blizzard. I think it was more of that initial rumor, like the Yahoo.
Yahoo, right?
Yahoo, yeah.
Yahoo is what Richard Lewis was saying. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was pretty legit. But then you go into a due diligence, and then people change their minds or whatever, right? So that didn't work. But I kept asking him, like, how can you go into Counter-Strike so heavy? You guys are you're bleeding money, right? How are you doing that? And that led to that conversation about, oh no, we've got new money, we're new people coming in. So I would think that they're going to keep kind of I don't know what they're going to do now that it's Activision Blizzard buying them and not a Yahoo. I don't really know what they're going to do, and I know that everyone who wrote about it before MLG made an announcement was basically like, oh, fire sale, closing shop, MLG brand goes away, kind of like IPL, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then they came out and said, oh, no, we're going to be the ESPN. So I don't really know what they're going to do.
ESPN's interesting because ESPN from a broadcasting standpoint, okay, I can kind of understand that in content, but MLG is also a circuit. That's not ESPN. ESPN's not any kind of event circuit.
And I do know that Blizzard, and I have a lot of you guys know, you do stuff with Blizzard or have in the years past. They hire a lot of our esports organizations. They hire ESL. They hire they give money to MLG to help them facilitate tournaments and run events, right? So I am absolutely sure that part of this buy is them looking at outsourcing those kind of things, renting space in Burbank from ESL, when they could maybe buy a facility and a production company, and some of that stuff maybe now happens in Ohio. Right. And they don't. Wow. I'm not going to obviously take all of ESL. They can't. I mean, they need ESL, but there might be maybe it's a Heroes thing here and a Overwatch thing here, but they outsource a lot of money to a lot of production companies. So I certainly would believe that part of buying MLG is their production facilities alone to do stuff. Whether they move now, they might move those facilities somewhere. I don't know.
I mean, are we talking MLG TV or off of Twitch?
Well,
oh god, that would be terrible.
The ability to be able to do a show. I don't mean necessarily the platform of TV.
Okay.
That to me,
that's still not
that would be a mistake.
Yeah, that's still not good.
MLG TV is not the right place to be. So why? Because Twitch is the place to be. Now, would they this event I'm doing tomorrow or Friday? We're simulcasting. So it will be on MLG's platform, and it will be on Twitch.
Yeah, that's fine.
And all the Counter-Strike will be like that. Actually, it might only be on Twitch. So, but maybe that's a plan. Maybe because I did read somewhere that Blizzard wants their own streaming platform. I don't think Blizzard would really want to cut off Twitch either, right? It is a monster.
Of course not.
Now, do they want to diversify? Again, I don't know. I'm going to ask everybody I can shit this weekend, but I don't think it's going to be Activision Blizzard people. It's going to be the MLG guys.
Steven, can you imagine if all of StarCraft was on LG TV moving forward?
I think that would just be the nail in the coffin, right?
I mean,
oh my god,
can't see that possibly happening.
Platform.
I was under the impression that MLG TV was MLG's last hope at trying to turn everything around and becoming majorly profitable. That was their last shot, and since they sold for such a low price, it became kind of obvious that that wasn't the ace in the hole they were looking for. So
I think it's okay for them in the sense that it gives them a platform that they can directly sell their own sales force into, but it's not. It can't be their. It can't be their only platform. It can be
because there's zero discovery on a platform like that. Point of the and like when you talk about like what did ChanMan just say earlier? You said something like I'm doing a simulcast, and then you're like, oh, but it's also on Twitch. So ChanMan's like, oh, okay. So like he has no intention of ever going to that other platform. And if it's gonna exist on a platform that people prefer anyway, no one is gonna go and watch it on.
Yeah, and there's an infrastructure to run that platform. So again, again not knowing truly what ESPN of esports means, I don't see them being exclusive on that TV platform because that. And
if they're not going to be exclusive, it's got no. If it's not exclusive, it's worthless because no one's going to watch it.
I mean, go ahead, Jacob. Jacob, you haven't been.
Look at your tier 2 platforms, right? So like, look at Azubu and stuff. The only reason those like platforms are holding on is because they have popular streamers like that Kespa deal in Korea, right?
Yeah, because they scammed a bunch of Koreans that can't speak English because of that one.
But it's not. But it's not like those guys are getting a ton of views either. I mean, they paid a lot of people. They paid them a lot to do it, but. Are they really getting that many viewers?
It's still the only reason, though. Like, you have people like Faker on that platform, and it's the only reason that platform lives. So, like, if you have things on Twitch, like, look at Call of Duty. Call of Duty is now on Twitch, and, like, before that, like, Call of Duty was struggling hard being exclusive on MLG. Like, it was still okay, but, like, it's nothing like what's been happening the past couple of days with COD World League. Like, I can't imagine any... Like, if Activision and Blizzard is stupid enough to put any of their games, like, exclusively on an MLG TV platform... Like it would just die.
That's why I got confused when Scoots is talking about how like it could just be an asset acquisition. Like Blizzard does like hires out the stuff to do like BlizzCon and shit. Like what do they want MLG's?
Well, it's compelling.
Like the brand is kind of worthless at this point. I feel.
No, but like just like ESL has here, so does MLG. So those kind of assets like physical like TriCasters, cameras, and the actual streaming platform. Steven, I agree with you. If that's their golden egg that they bought from MLG. Wow. They got better sales, but like.
Well, come on. I mean, MLG has.
When you talk about like TriCasters, do they really get $46 million worth of equipment? Like that just seems so hard to believe. I mean, I could be totally wrong. I don't know how much MLG had in the way of like live production shit.
I'm sure they got the building though, right?
Yeah, quite a bit. A facility and like I said, a big studio in Ohio.
But even from the standpoint of like, if you take a step back and you look at all the assets they got, and even just the brands they got, they do have somewhat of a vertical for an entire. Like a circuit for an esport, a specific esport.
Talking about you're talking about it like you're acquiring a successful, profitable company.
No, but I'm just saying they have the infrastructure. That
infrastructure has been proven to be unprofitable for them. So what you just acquired was an infrastructure that was so unprofitable that they had to sell for way below what they ever wanted to. Like it's.
But it's different when imagine if Riot purchased it, right? Let's just say Riot purchased. They're kind of there, except they don't have the actual streaming platform, but they have everything else, right? And I'm wondering if this is kind of Activision Blizzard's way of trying to get on board with that instead of.
Well, yeah, and I think you also they have this huge thing that we don't mess with called game battles, which is this huge.
It's an online, exactly.
Tournament stuff. Unrelated to the streaming thing. Now, another thing to think about. You brought up Call of Duty, right? I would absolutely bet that next year, MLG does a huge amount of Call of Duty. Right, and that's probably a big chunk of this. Is they're kind of in a weird way doing what Riot did. Riot spent the first couple years hiring everybody. Right, here ESL, here MLG.
Yeah, and even
they watched, they learned, they listened, and then they said, you know what? Fuck you all. We're just gonna do it ourselves.
Their first season of LCS, right? That was outsourced to MLG.
So maybe Blizzard Activision is gonna do that in a bigger way, more like a Riot, and say, you know what? We're bringing a lot of stuff back home.
Yeah.
And again, this gives them some staffing, some gear. Again, like you said, Steven, worth $47 million? Probably not. But again, they might want to be tired of giving a lot of money to the DreamHacks and the MLGs and the ESLs of the world, right? Because it is a lot of money. Rightfully so.
It's just when you look at the whole thing, it's just like two negatives trying to make a positive. Like you have a company, Blizzard, that hasn't had as much luck like running tournaments. Well, now Blizzard, that hasn't had as much luck getting its tournament circuit together, has now purchased a company that went out of business running tournaments. So their powers combined to support. I don't know. It just seems kind of weird. But I mean, maybe the Activision side of things will prove to be.
At some point, there has to be some kind of exclusiveness to it. I don't think it will be necessarily exclusive from Twitch. I mean, Twitch I think will always have to be part of it, but this whole COD World League with ESL is just absurd at this point. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
That was
for those of you that don't know, I mean, this was what a lot of people think was the last straw that broke, you know, MLG, you know, camel's back, right? Is that they lost the COD contract to ESL. Maybe it was happening. Maybe there was some weird sequence of events, but
you say lost. Who tell? And again, I don't know.
Well, maybe
who tells you they lost it? Who tells you they won it?
Well,
I mean, the thing is, right? Like, MLG.
This is the company. MLG is the company that said Blizzard no more. This is the funny thing about it. MLG is the one that said to Blizzard, "You're not paying us enough for WCS. We quit." Right? Remember when they did that?
Yeah. Okay, I remember that. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Okay, so you're thinking you're thinking they just didn't want it. There's no way they didn't want to do COD.
Yeah,
that's like the only thing they were doing outside of Smash.
I feel like people
no.
shot instead. I felt like they were the defining things of MLG. You don't think so?
It's Call of Duty, yeah.
They wanted to do a lot of stuff with Counter-Strike, so they might have got pushback from an Activision at that point, saying, because I know they couldn't do it last year because they owned the exclusive of Call of Duty, right? And so they weren't allowed to do any other FPSs, right? So then end of this year, right? That goes away, and they do some CEVO related stuff, and now they're doing their own stuff. And they did one of their own, the X Games thing. But maybe somewhere along the way, again, before ESL truly gets the gig, and MLG doesn't get the gig, Activision still was playing hardball with everybody and saying, hey, or with MLG saying, hey, you can't do Counter-Strike. And if MLG in their mind goes, oh no, we want to do it, we want Counter-Strike, maybe they've decided to go the Counter-Strike non-console route and like basically said, I don't know.
That would be shocking.
It just seems strange because like as a company, like you have like your guaranteed money makers, and then you have like your more adventurous, like, well, we can go out here and maybe like for MLG to give up Call of Duty. It seems like, because Call of Duty, I mean, I don't know much about the Call of Duty scene, but I was always under the impression that Call of Duty was like the last great like area that MLG could clearly say, because they weren't in StarCraft, they weren't in Dota or League, they didn't have like a lot of Counter-Strike shit going on. It was just like Call of Duty was their thing. So it seems strange to give that up to risk it to try to do.
Sure, but again, we don't know. Like again, ESL built a brand new part of the arena for them, right? They built their own studio set, all those kind of things. So maybe MLG just didn't want. I mean, again, I don't know. I'll ask them this weekend, but maybe they just didn't want to. Again, maybe they lost.
Invest more. They just want to invest more.
Maybe they didn't want to develop that much more into Call of Duty because they wanted to shift elsewhere.
Right.
I would just
now it's just ironic.
I'd be really surprised. Like, given like the thing is with Call of Duty, as someone that like knows the scene and used to be in the scene a lot, like back in Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops days. Like overall, the thing is with Call of Duty is that like the past few years, it's just like died on MLG. Like MLG's just driven it into the ground, which is really sad. And like the only reason Call of Duty's ever survived is because of YouTube. And because you have people like FaZe and Optic and all these people that are and like Machinima, like they're content creators more so than they are professional players. And like now it seems like the Call of Duty scene is like trying to do a full like, you know, turn and become more like Counter-Strike, where we're actually having competitive leagues and more tournaments and working with people like ESL and other giant tournament organizers. So like I would be very surprised, Scott, if MLG was not, you know, chomping at the bit when COD World League started, because I'm sure it was like a bidding war, right?
Sure.
So I'm sure somebody like
and ESL is a bigger beast, a bigger presence in California, especially. They could probably do it cheaper. They could probably underbid MLG, so maybe it turned into like you said, a bidding war. But again, I do know they wanted to go heavy into Counter-Strike, and again, there is something to be said that if you're heavy into PC, it opens a whole lot more sponsors for you as an event organizer than if you're stuck on console. So in MLG's mind, maybe that opens up more peripheral like all those kind of side sponsors, right, that you want at your events. You know, SteelSeries isn't going to give a rat's ass about a Call of Duty tournament, but they might care about
those G2As, man. That's dude.
Yeah. G2A, yeah. G2A loves everybody.
fuck G2A.
Yeah, you talk about ironic, though. Yeah, how about MLG doing Counter-Strike again after buying Goffrag, then closing Goffrag, then fucking Goffrag?
Yeah. Okay. All right, so the notion of ESPN of esports is coming up again, particularly in the you know, statement from this whole transaction, right? The interviews with you know, Sepso and just all those guys, right? So what do you guys think? Is okay, first off, is the notion even possible, like in esports? Because we've seen people try and fail and try and fail. Well, just like an aggregate, like basically some kind of either like let's just say it's a network or the network that has shows that basically aggregate for all the esports, like all the different games, covers all the different games and is constantly aggregating all throughout the day, right?
You mean like the Sports Center-y news side of what ESPN does, not the ESPN owns the X Games.
Yeah.
They buy TV rights.
Oh, that's true. They do own
They
X
buy
Games.
third-party events and then show them like ski tournaments and stuff like that. They don't go produce that. They buy all that.
They run digital content as well.
Yeah, so I guess I mean so ESPN is a lot of things. So I guess that's true.
It's so ambiguous to say. We're gonna be now, even 10 years ago it was a little more cut and dry, right?
Yeah, but I feel like generally though it's coverage of esports. I would say.
I know for me, like for the games I care about, I have my sites, and no one's gonna probably inform me any better than those sites. Now, occasionally there'll be a nice article, an opinion piece, or something somewhere else. But like, I go to Half-Life TV for Counter-Strike news. It's where I go, and I go to Reddit. So I have what is if I'm not gonna go to ESPN to tell me last night's scores. I don't need them for that, and I don't need their fancy entertainment for that. So what are they gonna provide?
Well, the question is whether there is this kind of cross interest in esports like there is in traditional sports. Like with traditional sports, there are these seasons, and typically only two major sports overlap each other, and they have these off seasons, and it's that kind of thing, right? But with esports, it's like almost 365 days a year that we have like every esport. I mean, there are some gaps with like Dota and even League has a few months off, but for the most part, they're always overlapping with each other. And I feel like every community, every scene is pretty partitioned from each other. Like, I don't want to hear about, like, let's just say I'm not interested in League of Legends. I don't want to hear anything about it, yet it's one of the biggest esports. So it's going to be all over this ESPN of esports. So
now maybe something to think about is it's not for us, right? Because we are the hardcore, and we have our places. We have our games we like and don't like. Maybe they're thinking kind of like a Turner, that they're going to reach out to this new audience, bring them to us, and then kind of not owns the wrong word, but be their introduction. So then that would be their home base. Oh, ESPN, yeah, okay. But like
that's a lot to invest in trying to convert, man.
Now, if they're making engaging video content and traveling around to tournaments and doing good interviews and that kind of stuff, sure. But like Kevin Naki does a really cool little esports wrap-up show. I don't watch that because I don't know if it's Kevin, but I don't need to. Right?
That's exactly.
So yeah. And I think we are separate. I mean, I don't think in ESPN in that sense, where a sports center has all these different segments, is appealing to esporters, because we are generally a one or two esport kind of people, I think. Yeah. But
what's funny is that I feel like on ESPN, those very specific sports shows, like I guess maybe not. I mean, I think NFL Live probably does pretty well. I was just gonna say, like, I don't know if they do better than just more general shows, like if it's like the ESPN First Takes, or the Esports Nations and those type of things. I think those shows actually do better than the NFL Lives and the NBA whatever it's called, where it's just the NBA. Where it's the opposite in esports. It's the opposite.
I'm just really confused by like when they said that, like ESPN and esports, what entitles Activision Blizzard or even MLG in their like even at their peak. They weren't even the like cream of the crop in terms of esports coverage, because that includes like not only digital content, which is like what I do for a living, but like also like television and streaming and all of that, and they weren't even the best at all of those. So like what makes them but it like trying doesn't matter if you're not the best at it, right? Like to try to make that statement, like. And then on top of that, like ESPN is launching an esports department.
I know,
it's a very known thing. Like, so what makes like MLG any more entitled or like capable of this to like actually build the ESPN of esports when actually ESPN is coming in, and you already have people that have already tried to do this, right? So like, let's look at two different sites that tried to do it. Yeah. On Gamers, completely.
And MLG themselves tried to do it.
ESGN.
Remember Fuck Slasher and all those shows, right?
Yeah.
MLG
Fuck
failed.
Slasher was alright.
On Gamers failed.
ESGN.
ESGN. And like even the Score Esports is like living off a mobile app. Like let's be honest here for a second. Like that's what gets them by. Especially now that they're losing like Fion and everything. Like it's it's kind of like there's more than like there's 3 and like maybe 4 eventually like companies that really hitting the bottom of the barrel. And it's like it's also because they're so afraid of like blacklisting too, right? why nobody does reporting in the industry. Like,
Yeah.
everybody's afraid to be quote unquote blacklisted.
Steven, what do you think of the whole ESPN thing, dude? Do you have any opinion on it or no?
We'll have to see how it all plays out. I don't think I've.
Have you had any interest in something like that, or any of those shows that cover
like the
a bunch
problem?
of...
Well, because my problem is I usually just like I play a lot of games. I don't usually follow like the esports scenes like super in depth, I guess.
Well,
They
let's
don't get down to,
well
like-
even shows that, let's just say, covered a bunch of games. Like, do you enjoy the variety, like the co-optional
Well-
podcast or any of those? I mean,
I don't know. It's kind of like what
Anything.
SirScoots said earlier, or I think it was Scoots, right? Where we all tend to be like 1 or 2 game people. Like, what am I going to get out of that show? Like, why would I watch a recap show when I'm getting the information like as it's happening live on like the Global Offensive subreddit or the
Right.
Dota 2 subreddit? Like, why would I go to another show to summarize what I don't know. It's
I mean,
just
I can
my-
tell you even personally, you know, from a show producer, and I've seen others like The Good Show, right? We've tried to cover multiple games, and or just generally cover the cool topics. We kind of still do on this show, but it's not purposeful, you know. It's just like whatever happens. But
Yeah.
before, we
And you
tried to
have to-
cover things. We tried to cover StarCraft 2, League of Legends, Dota, and it doesn't
You have
work.
to figure that
Like,
a lot of these models that we're working are models that have like these very old establishments that if you were to start from the ground up today, you might not even build anymore. Like when you talk about like news recaps and recaps of what's going on in sports, like these are things that were tailored around people being stuck at work all day with only like an AM radio maybe to listen to. So if they don't catch it, they have to get it on the radio coming home, or when they come home and they turn on the TV, like they get it. But we're connected to the fucking internet 25 hours a day, like every single second. Like you wake up and you open your phone and every piece of information you need is right there. Like why would I spend minutes of my time watching a recap show when I'm probably going to figure this out? Like before I even wake up, my alarm is going to tell me who won, like, you know, the international or whatever. Like it just seems, I just don't know if that's like an appropriate, if that kind of show or that kind of format is like appropriate for the world we live in today. Like it's deceptive again, because you look at an industry like ESPN and go, oh, well, it works there. But if you were to start over right now with all the access that we have to information today, like would a show like that thrive? Like I'm not even sure if it would.
yeah, I mean, I think they should actually take just that approach instead of like looking at the grand scale of esports. Just take one game. You know what I mean? Like, do all those things just for Call of Duty. You know, do all those things just for Hearthstone or whatever it is, right?
That's what like MLG was good at, though,
Yeah.
right? Like that's like they were the best at Call of Duty for a very long time, and like that's come to a close. That came to a close like the past 2 years, but like at one point in time, that's why MLG was good. Like it was good because they were good in Call of Duty, especially during like Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Scoots is going to be going to MLG. So you're going to be hosting this weekend, right? You got the
Yeah, I'm
suit
just
and
a-
everything? Got the
Just
suit?
host on all the major activities for this one, so I'll be there this time, and then the next one, and then the major I'll also be the desk host. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, so that's
Hitching
another
that
question.
wagon, baby. Hitching that wagon.
That's like another question, Scott.
Yeah.
Do you think that Activision Blizzard, now that they own the biggest competitor for Counter-Strike, like do you think they'll shit on Counter-Strike after this major and just let it go?
Ooh, ooh. Yeah.
It's also a question I'm going to ask those guys. But what I'm being told is this is the start, not the end. Which, again, I, much like you guys, go, wait a minute. Why would a game development company, even if it's a side project, want to ever help another game stay big, right? Why would you ever use your assets unless there's money to be made, right? But still, you have to weigh that. Like, Blizzard's IPs are helping Valve's IPs. You know, I don't know.
Does Valve give a
all
shit?
I know is that they're definitely doing this one, and they're going gangbusters on it. But I guess if they're truly buying them to do all sorts of crap, maybe they don't care. But it just, I'm with you on it. It seems very like, wait, why would you do that?
Yeah, and it's like the biggest the biggest holdings that they're like investing in right now are CS:GO and Smash, and like Smash makes plenty of sense because like Activision Blizzard doesn't really like make a premier fighting game, right? Or like an arena fighter, but it makes no sense for Counter-Strike because they make Call of Duty, which like Call of Duty fans left and right are figuring out how to play CS. Like I don't know.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, it'll be. I mean, again,
Just-
it's really.
just have to
I
write
think
and
this
see
press
it.
release we got, like we talked about ESPN. I think that they're just buzzwording. Like, ESPN is going to be the ESPN. They're going
I
to.
know, that's the funniest thing.
You know, Flasher Gang, right? Just said. So, like, they'll figure out what they're going to do as ESPN. I think the guy from Activision Blizzard is just throwing out buzzwords, man, and
That's sad.
Which is what you would expect them to
sad.
do. I mean, right?
Yeah,
There's-
absolutely.
I
that's-
guess. It's just
You
like
know.
Obviously,
all
they're
of
going to
us.
hype up what they just purchased. They're not going to say, like, yeah, we just made this $47 million purchase. I'd be cautious, guys. I don't really think we're going to be able to do much with it. Like, obviously, they're going to hype the fuck out of it.
Come on, ESPN of esports. I mean, that's one buzzword that is not one
It's so
that's
stupid.
gonna
We used to
resound
say
with
years
us.
ago, like the God Frag
resonate
days,
with us.
we use the catchphrase occasionally. Oh yeah, we're like, when you're trying to explain what you did to an outsider, we're like, oh, we cover it like ESPN covers it. We're kind of the ESPN of Counter-Strike.
All right,
And then they kind of get it, right? So I get using it, but that was it focused on a single game, and actually we kind of were the ESPN of Counter-Strike in print and video and all things, right? So, but that can't be active. I mean, I don't know. I mean, again, if they're going to spin off a side company that lets them literally give great press to all their competition games, that seems weird to me. But maybe I'm old-fashioned. I don't know.
Maybe you're old-fashioned.
There's plenty of Blizzard games and Activision games that MLG could stay super busy doing nothing but content around their own titles, especially when Overwatch drops, right? So
yeah, that's going to be the interesting one.
It's one of those things. Like now, yeah, like you said with Overwatch. Now they're gonna have 2 shooter games. Like, and obviously a lot of people from Counter-Strike are like, oh, well, you know, is Overwatch worth our time? Like,
yep.
So why the hell would you invest in Counter-Strike as Activision Blizzard at all?
I mean, I think regardless if it's a good or bad decision, I think you can make arguments for like Overwatch and Counter-Strike coexisting as completely different games. I think they're quite different.
They are different types of games for sure. One's a more realistic shooter, right, and one's a class FPS. So it's pretty different to a brand new audience too.
I think chat's pretty confused. There is a actual esports department for ESPN that has been talked about a lot. That is coming. Like, it's on the route. There's even a Twitter account for it. Like,
so what are we missing? Are we just missing Fox Sports? Because we have
we just need Colin just to be talking about esports constantly.
Don't have
That's
Fox, right?
Yeah, we don't have Fox. We don't have what else? That's
ESPN
basically
is ABC, so that counts.
CBS. We had CBS for a while. NBC. I guess we don't cover the Olympics here.
I want to be the HBO Go of esports. I've just
HBO Go.
I don't know. We got enough Twitch drama with all these cam girls. Maybe we could be like Showtime.
Oh, shit.
Like Showtime esports.
Showtime
esports.
Make a VOD library. I want to be the Netflix of esports.
The Netflix. Oh God, how much are we gonna charge for this, man? All right, well, let's move on to something that happened at CES. Again, like Richard might come, so we're gonna save some CES for the end. But one thing that did happen at CES was Thorin. You know, this was pretty cool. This was actually pretty awesome seeing the inside the NBA guys. You know, with Shaq and Charles Barkley, EJ, Ernie Johnson, and Kenny Smith. Bantering with, you know, our guys over here with James and Richard and Thorin. And Thorin actually being Thorin, you know, on just with those guys. I mean, that was classic, and I actually think it was good for esports too, as crazy as it sounds. But the what resulted from it was actually some traffic on r/NBA, just the Reddit. The actual Reddit the subreddit, the NBA subreddit, and there was this whole thing with Richard actually retweeting somebody's comment on I Bleed Orange's comment, which was basically that, what is Richard basically doing there, kind of representing esports or whatever. But anyways, it caused this kind of brigading, or at least our NBA folks started banning everybody that downvoted, you know, I guess that comment, or started downvoting anything in this chat. And one of my subs was actually a victim of it too. I mean, literally he downvoted because of his reasoning was there was actually inaccurate information in one of, I think, I Bleed Orange's posts. Like they said, like Richard punched Richard punched Loda or whatever. So he was just like, I'll just downvote that just because of that. And then he got banned, and he's still banned, right?
I Bleed Orange went around reporting like everybody that was doing it.
Oh, is that what happened? Did he actually?
He was trying to find more people who were going around downvoting him. Oh, dude, there were a lot of people in my chat that got caught with that, and I heard him talking about.
Wow, that's ridiculous, man.
Was it just the people that clicked through Richard's retweet, or was it just anyone that
I guess
downloaded
it's
anything?
I'm not entirely sure. Maybe people from my chat over here can tell me exactly what happened. But it looked like people that were downvoting I Bleed Orange's comment. I Bleed Orange was like reporting everything to like the Reddit admins for being brigaded because people were downvoting him. Somebody maybe in my chat might know if you're here, because I wasn't involved in any of that.
That's crazy. People are still banned. So
he's a League of Legends mod. There you go, Chris.
Yes,
I Bleed Oranges.
I know.
That's what
Yeah.
chat's saying.
Or
No.
or at least at one point, I believe.
No,
that's
because
what
he's a
he said.
moderator of he's a mod of Hearthstone and StarCraft. There's no way he's a League mod too.
No, he was involved with League in some way though. He is in Hearthstone. I know I believe Orange is, but there was also some talk that there was a former moderator in our NBA that was affiliated with our League of Legends too.
Korean Terran was.
Korean Terran.
That was the guy that actually got Richard. Or like that's the guy that like blew
Got
up
him
on
banned.
William Turton, and that was the guy that wanted to start getting Richard banned. Like he was the guy that started the whole like mod against Richard thing. So
Crazy. Just anyways,
in the League
crazy.
subreddit, they were removing the videos and shit because it had Richard Lewis in them.
Yeah, exactly. It was like it was crazy, just absolutely crazy.
My favorite thing about the entire League of Legends subreddit is that there's a subreddit called Meta. There's like the League of Meta or Meta League of Legends subreddit.
That's where you're
ran
allowed to talk.
The same mods that run the League of Legends subreddit.
Oh well, there's also like.
It didn't used to be. Didn't used to be.
r/riot free lol and
Yeah,
esports. There's all these fucking places that just want the League subreddit to die. Like,
Well,
I
well,
just like the fact that I like the fact that the actual Meta League subreddit is ran by the same moderators.
Well, yeah.
Pretty much is.
Their reasoning.
No, it is. It openly is. Like it's the same one. Yeah.
Yeah. But Scoots, I know you wanted to talk maybe a little bit about just the Thorin comment. What'd you think about that whole thing?
Oh, that was great. I mean,
Yeah.
like obviously me, Richard, and Thorin. Well, Richard and Thorin, especially whatever desk they're on, they definitely are banter central, right? But
Yeah.
we were, they dubbed us the Angels. We were bantering a lot last year.
The Angels.
And I used to always say, like, when I was chatting with those guys, and Thorin's a big sports guy, right? Richard maybe not so much about U.S. sports, but like we always felt that what we were doing was very similar to that Turner show and very similar to shows like the Best Damn Sports Show period,
Right.
and Around the Horn, and that kind of like not so scripted, not so ESPN, like buttoned up, reading off a teleprompter esports, right? And everyone kept letting us do it. So like to see him like be in his natural environment, because that is Thorin, like, and to turn that banter towards guys that banter every night themselves, like those guys are banterers. Like, if you watch that show, like they're
the
go
least
in on each other.
They're the least.
For him to jump right into that and like have a back and forth was perfect. Like
it was
like ballsy as shit, right? Like I know people said, maybe it was scripted. I don't think it was scripted.
Come on.
I think that Thorin probably they probably all met each other backstage because Thorin tweeted a photo of those guys. They're all sharing a green room chit chat, and I'm sure they're like, "What the fuck is esports?" So let me tell you what esports. So I'm sure they had a little banter already going, and made Thorin comfortable enough to go, you know what? Fuck it. And that's what he does, man. When he feels comfortable.
What was funny was Richard was being all like, our NBA colleagues over there might not know much, they might understand what's going on over here, but I was like, what the fuck? What Richard is that?
Like the best comparison I saw, like when Thorin went in, it was like the Super Hot Fire video, and it was like he was the guys behind him just going, just going nuts. So,
I mean, it was good,
it was definitely good. It was crazy
on both
good.
sides, right? Like they had fun. The NBA guys had fun with it. Obviously, Thorin had fun with it. It seems like you said, James and Richard were a little nervous and more, buttoned up, if you will. I think Richard is really trying to.
Rick.
Changes. I mean, he's always said, I know when to act where, right? And you could tell, he gauges in his own mind how I get. Well, I'll act this way to DreamHack. Sorry, Richard. But when I get the TV, I'll do this. Like he's always been very cognizant of what he knows that if he ever would be on TV like this Turner thing, that things he needs to pull back on, right? And I can even I don't want to say that Richard's grown up a lot in the last year, but I've hung out with him a lot, and I think he has realized that, in some regards, like, he can be his own worst nightmare, right, and gets himself in trouble. Like, this last major that we were all at, I was just doing interviews, but I was hanging out with them all, and he was really cognizant before the major and up to the major with him and Thorin kind of not, like, and even more, like, keeping an eye on Duncan, right, because they are really good friends, right? And obviously, Duncan has said shit in the past that has gotten him off of ESL events.
Oh,
and
really?
Richard has done things in the past, and it was like Richard was just kind of keeping an eye on Thorin so that Thorin didn't get himself in trouble, so he didn't lose a major. So he maybe didn't, because if you lose the major, then maybe you lose TV. So it was kind of funny to see Richard like off air, mind you, be like, we probably shouldn't say that. I'd be like, who are you? What? Richard, what? I don't even know you anymore. I'm the guy that's supposed to go, you probably shouldn't say that, guys. So, yeah, to see him a little bit more like not crazy
Just
Richard,
wary of what's
at
going
Turner
on.
is
Yeah.
understandable.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean that the next time he gets a little bit more comfortable. And obviously, we've seen that banter with Thorin and the NBA was cool. So, they didn't banter much at all. The esports guys, really. They kept it.
No, it was
Thorin
straight.
did.
It was straight. It was
But
boring. It
everyone
was
kept
almost
pretty
boring,
straight,
honestly.
right? And James is a pretty straight man
Yeah.
when it comes to being a host anyway. Like, his humor is very dry and very subtle. And overall, I think it was a good event. I think production-wise, I was expecting more in the sense that TV is now taking over my game, and we do better production in the sense of internally, like we have instant replays and we have stuff like that. They didn't have that stuff. I think part of that was because they were at CES and not in their own environment. But it was good. They didn't game show it. They didn't CGS it. It was nice, solid Counter-Strike, good talent, good production. I'm just saying I didn't see anything that went, oh my God, TV is here. You know?
I feel like,
Right. Well, I don't think any of us expect anything like mind-blowing in terms of TV.
I feel like they're
I
saving
do.
that for
Really?
E-League, though.
Yeah.
What do you expect?
When it gets in their studio, for sure, I want some crazy map breakdowns. Like, again, we didn't even get instant replays, and everyone gives that to us now, right?
Yeah.
So those kind of things, like super map breakdowns, crazy strap boards, like, again, the kind of shit that telestration, the kind of shit you would do in Real Sports as ESPN or as Turner Sports. I want them to bring those toys, right? And again, they were in a trade show hall. They weren't in their own studio. Limited trucks, all those kind of things. So I know why it was kind of light, but it was light and solid at least, right? They didn't do anything stupid, which thank God, thank God, because I think that's what we were all worried about. They were going to CGS it, they were going to game show it, and they did not do that.
The thing is, Scott, like I feel like they're saving that for E-League, right?
Yeah.
So like I feel like it's supposed to be the big reveal. Like I think this was kind of them just testing the waters. If we run something in Counter-Strike, do people give a fuck? And so like they obviously got involved because this was originally just going to be Facet's thing, right? Like from what I understand, this was just going to be Faceit, and then it like became Turner got involved in terms of the broadcasting side. So I feel like in E-League they're just going to be like they're just going to like come out and they are going to blow everyone away, and like that's their goal, but they want to save that till the summer. So
yeah, and I tend to agree with you. I think CES was like, let's just not fuck it up. Let's do a nice solid, and then we're going to show them what we're really all about in our home court, so to speak.
Yeah, when everybody gets to Atlanta. Yeah,
definitely should be awesome. Looking forward to it. I didn't really think about just all the teleprompters and stuff like that. I guess that would be pretty cool.
Telestrator.
Teleprompters.
And again, I'm sure like
Telestrators.
Jacob just said, it's all coming. But CES is a pain in the ass to do anything at.
Yeah.
So I don't care who you are, it's a pain in the ass.
It's a trade show.
So,
it's tough.
But yeah, I was pleasantly, I've always said I'm positively optimistic about this one. I was the same way X amount of years ago, the first season of CGS, and then we all went, oh fuck you. But at the start of it, we were all like, oh, this could be cool. This could be great. Players are getting paid. This is good. Owners are getting paid.
How does it look any different? That's the one thing I was going to ask you. How does it look any different than CGS?
It's totally different. I mean, CGS was a franchise system based on multiple games a team played or a franchise played. So they had a Counter-Strike team. They had Dead or Alive players. They had FIFA players. They had racers.
God. Okay.
And then they would race franchise against franchise. That guy would get some points. And they would play Counter-Strike against each other. They would get points. So when Optic took on Complexity, they played all the games.
Yeah.
The final score was the winner of the night. So you could have a Counter-Strike team that kicked everybody's ass. But if the rest of those divisions lost, the team
they would
lost.
lose. Yeah.
And they changed the rules of Counter-Strike.
Fucking joke.
Person.
Oh my
source.
God.
They gave them all $16,000. No money system. It was stupid. And 7 rounds. And then halfway through the season, they started not even showing the full match. They would go show the Dead or Alive match, like during the last rounds of the first half.
Okay, it's a hodgepodge of everything.
It was fucking horrible.
Okay.
It was like they turned it into a game show is what they did. They tried to game show esports. And Turner did not. They did very much what we do. Just not sexy yet. That's it. But that's coming, right? I imagine. So
yeah, I mean Turner just like they're choosing a good market. Other people don't want to get in this market. ESPN's really being fucking cautious about this market because guns and Disney affiliation to weapons, which is a reality. But like Turner doesn't give a fuck, and like I'm really excited to kind of see what E-League is going to be all about because I'm expecting some good shit. I'm from Atlanta. That's where
It's
I'm
home of Turner.
So
Yep,
that's home.
exactly.
Yeah, that's home of Turner. Like
That could be
I've
good
seen
for you,
their-
actually.
Yeah, I've seen their studios. Like I plan on going back and staying with my parents to cover this event for a couple weeks. Like, yeah, I'm really excited about this, and I think Turner's gonna blow.
It's right next to Centennial, right?
I mean,
we were just in Atlanta like this.
It's not far. They're all.
I mean, the only thing
Center.
they have in common with CGS is they're kind of coming for the same reason. Like CGS's thing was, if we can build this sport that we normally have to pay millions upon millions and millions of dollars to have broadcast rights to then sell against to the NFLs, the NBAs, but if we own the sport, then everything we sell against is ours. We don't have to pay anyone broadcast rights. Sure, we have to logistically run the event, but we don't have to give the NFL all this money and then try to sell against it. That's why CGS wanted to start their thing. And I guarantee somewhere in the Turner, idea is, well, if we start a league and it's successful and we kind of start pro TV Counter-Strike sports, well, guess what? We don't have to pay anyone millions of dollars to broadcast it because we are it,
Yeah.
Because again, that's what ESPN and Turner and all those guys do. They spend a lot of money and give it to the NFL and the NBAs, and then go, make their money back.
And it's also like, it's the first time that like this is ever happening with a specific esport, right? So like, I think if Turner does it well, then everybody's gonna be like, oh well, Riot's gonna get thumb up their ass and like want to do League of Legends on television, which like ESPN has already done on ESPN2 with Worlds the past couple of years.
Yep.
But like, it's still one of those things where like you could see Valve wanting to do it with like Dota. You could see
it just leads. It
like,
just opens the door to a lot of things.
Yeah.
So
and again, if you have a league and you have a structure, it's much easier to sell 2 10-week blocks and make more money than sell a weekend of covering an event.
We need a success story first, and I think if E-League has a good first season, then oh man, the floodgates will open and it'll be awesome. It'll be pretty awesome.
About season 1, Chris, and I ain't gonna fucking sugarcoat it, is I don't think we're gonna see the best Counter-Strike teams in the world playing it.
No, we're not. Yeah, I think it's clear we're not.
We're not gonna see anywhere close to it. Unfortunately, we're gonna see
didn't
North American teams.
But it doesn't. Does it matter? Like it matters to us, right? It matters to all the hardcore people. But does it matter to the general audience, which we're trying to get? And I'm not sure it does. It just
because they're not going to know.
Yeah, it's just all about how it's presented. Can we present it?
I don't know who's going to be there necessarily, but
isn't that
I'm just
like
throwing those out there. But
yeah,
you're right. That audience will be like, "Oh, Counter-Strike, cool," and they'll learn via them. But yeah, any hardcore. But I've always said it's like opening a restaurant. Like a restaurant is successful if you take care of your regulars first, right? And then the tourists will always come, right? But if you fuck your regulars in a bar or in a restaurant, you're going to have a hard time making your monthly nut, right? We are the regulars. So if they don't care about us at all,
well, we're the low-hanging fruit, like from the standpoint of viewership, right? So
isn't that not really their fault though? Like, aren't a couple of these European teams like wanting to strong arm them?
I don't know what I don't know, Jacob.
There's a lot of drama there.
Yeah, I don't know the deal they're offering, and I don't know the bickering going on about all of that, because obviously I'm sure it's about money and about commitment, because these teams don't want to have to sit in Atlanta for 10 weeks and not go anywhere else.
Yeah.
So it's a whole probably mess of things. Now, what will work in their favor is if they have a really rock solid season 1 and it looks sexy and everyone's like, holy fuck, this is great, this is what we wanted, then I guarantee every team on the planet will be like, okay, now how do we get in? And they're just waiting, because they know that there's 2 10-week cycles that aren't necessarily tied together, other than in the sense that every team moves forward. So if I'm a smart owner and I'm leery about them and I don't necessarily need their money right now, I might go, you know what, let's see what they do. Because I have a top team, I'm sure they're going to let me in next season if it's good.
That's the whole reason like Conquest is being bought, and that's why like even though TSM like lost their other lineup, right? That's why they signed Syphis and Automatic, because they want to be able to get. They're trying to build another squad specifically for this, because TSM's now trying to buy into World League for the same reason. Like people just want their fucking branding on television.
And again, for me though, as a pure like Counter-Strike guy, if this is gonna be the premier like grail of we've always talked forever, we got to get on TV. Well, we all know we don't have to get on fucking TV. It's nice, it's gonna help us, but we don't need it anymore. But in my mind, like if I'm gonna sit on my TV and watch Turner Sports, I want to the best production with the best teams, and I know why it's not going to happen this first season. But damn it, like I I don't want to turn into tier 3 North American teams on TV. Frankly, they don't deserve to be on TV playing Counter-Strike. That's also part of it. Now, I know there's business, so that's kind of a weird thing to say, but, like, God damn it, like, you didn't bleed for Counter-Strike when no one cared. You didn't bleed for Counter-Strike when CSGO first started, but now your brand's going to get on fucking TV and you're going to get paid for it? I'm kind of like about that.
Confirmed teams, though, are, like, right now, like, Cloud9, CLG, TSM, Complexity, Renegades, Mouse, and I'm trying to think if there are other... Most of the WME IMG clients are in this league.
Okay, so
no, all 6 of those.
Say TSM to me, Jacob, you're talking about...
The Simmons Automatic.
The brand, not the players
not question mark, no.
Yeah, who fucking cares, right? No offense to them. Like, that's what I don't... That's, of all the things, I'm most bummed that I think this first season is going to be subpar is the wrong word, but subpar in comparing to the top 10 of the world. These are not...
It will be top of North America and bottom of EU. Like, Mouse will be there. I don't think MVS, Fnatic, or question mark will be there, which is sad. But, like, Mouse is confirmed to be there. And, you know, we have Renegades who are from Australia who will be there. It's like, it will be NA range and bottom of EU, which it's kind of disappointing.
Yeah. And like you said, a lot of them are getting in because of the association with Tumba and DraftKings and
that's business.
Agency.
Yeah, I mean, that's business, man.
Started on Tumba, we'll just leave him alone. He doesn't deserve my breath.
Man.
Again, I think they'll do a great production. I know that they're planning on bringing a lot of the core talent that we all love already. So they're talking to them, so that's great. We're not going to get a bunch of unknowns. So again, hopefully, all being said, after season 1, everyone that had doubts looks at it and goes, you know what? It's all good.
Yeah, I mean,
let's see if we can get in now, and then maybe season 2, season 3. Because again, if it's going to be one of the premier places to watch, I just want it to be the premier teams, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
For all sorts of reasons. Not only entertainment, but like that kind of deserves the reward.
Well, something happened to Steven's cam here. Well, it's a good time to take a break anyway. So we'll be back in just a second. We'll be talking about some VR, just kind of the new era of VR, as well as some Keemstar. So sit tight. We'll be right back.
Steven's getting coxed.
He's getting